رمضان مفيوت نمشيري نمبي أبنم ثواب ونوت أمين نفري نامضاتي and welcome to the first annual Coptic Retreat. And this Coptic Retreat this year is going to be dealing with the Coptic language in general, its history and its development through the ages, the dialects and the different dialects, and also how to the numbers, how the speaking Coptic changed over the years, and so on. First thing we are going to talk about is the Coptic language. What is it exactly? And the word Coptic and Egyptian is the same word from the same origin. So we are talking about the Egyptian language in general, which is people know it by the word Coptic. And it is the language that the Egyptians spoke since dawn of the recorded history. But the language, since it has passed through all these times, definitely there were many dialects throughout the years, and also many dialects throughout the various areas in Egypt. So you have time factor here that the Egyptian language changes a little bit. It develops like any other language. And also in the areas, different areas of Egypt. Usually North Egypt has a little bit different dialect than South Egypt and so on. So the Coptologists attempted to describe and define how many dialects there are. And different Coptologists have different numbers and different ideas. For example, as you can see from this curve here, this slide, L. Stern, this Coptologist, L. Stern, he wrote a publication. There was a publication in 1880 where he said, we have 3 dialects of the Coptic language. Crum in 1939 said that he defined 5 dialects. Kale in 1954, he reports 6 dialects. Rudolf Kasser, in different publications starting with in 1964 until 1981, has different number of dialects in every publication, but they vary between 7 and 15 different dialects. So it's very clear from this table that Coptic language is not one single language, but it has many different dialects. There are 2 major dialects that are very well known for the Coptic language and Egyptian language. And these 2 dialects are the Buhairic dialect and the Saidic dialect. The Buhairic dialect and the Saidic dialect. The Buhairic dialect, from the name, from its name, it is the one spoken in North Egypt, and it is the dialect that is used until today in the church services, whether it is liturgies, hymns, praises, they are all in Buhairic dialect of the Coptic language. However, the Saidic dialect is very important for some other reason, and that is approximately 92% of the existing Coptic manuscripts found in museums and libraries over all of the world. 92% of them is written in Saidic, and only 7% in Buhairic, and 1% all the other dialects. And also Saidic is distinguished by the fact that in any Coptology center in the world, they really teach the Saidic Coptology. They don't teach the Buhairic dialect because of the fact that all the manuscripts available, almost 92% of these manuscripts are in Saidic, and that's why the Coptology centers concentrate on the Saidic, not the Buhairic. But I repeat again, Buhairic is the language, or is the dialect that is used by the church in all its services. And that's why it is important for us to know so we can follow the services. Now, what's the origin of both the word Egypt and the word Copt and Coptic? And as I said before, they both come from the same origin. And this same origin is an old Egyptian word, which is He-Ka-Ptah. He-Ka-Ptah. He or E, it's pronounced he or E. E means house. And Ka means spirit. And Ptah is the name of the Egyptian god, very important Egyptian god. He was the god of Memphis, the capital of Egypt. So in other words, Ka Ptah means the house where the spirit of Ptah lives. In other words, Egypt is the place where the spirit of the god Ptah lives. And later on, Ka Ptah was initially given to Memphis, but after that it was given to Egypt as a whole. And when the Greeks came to Egypt and occupied Egypt in the 4th century BC, they could not pronounce Ka Ptah in a right way, and they pronounced it Egypt instead of Ka Ptah, and they added the Greek ending, which is the OS, so it became Egyptus. But there's no Greek word called Egyptus. Egyptus is the way they pronounce the word Ka Ptah, which is the Egyptian word which means the house where the god Ptah lives. From the word Egyptus, you can tell that in Latin it became Egyptus also, written in Latin letters. And from Egyptus, all the European languages, they took this and they used the word Egypt from Egyptus. So in essence then, let's go back. Egypt then, the word Egypt, it traces its origin to the old Egyptian word Ka Ptah. Okay, how about the word Copt and Coptic? When the Arabs, the Muslim Arabs came into Egypt, Egypt was known to the outside world by the Greek version of the name, which is Egyptus. And they thought that the first part of Egyptus, which is the E or A, is the definite article in Greek, so they can cross it out. And then the OS at the end, definitely they can cross it out because this is known as the ending of Greek names and Greek things. So when you cross out the E at the beginning, the OS at the end, so they came up with Gibt. So Gibt and Gopt and Copt is the way the Arabs pronounced the name of Egypt or the word Egyptus. As I said, when you cross out the beginning and the end of the word, you get Gibt. And from this Gibt and Copt came the word Copt and Coptic in English. So the word Copt and Coptic is not a religious term. It is the name of the country, and it is like the nationality of the people in Egypt. They are Copt. In other words, they are Egyptians. So Egyptian and Copts is the same word. And after the Muslims came into Egypt, the Muslim Arabs came into Egypt, during the first 1 or 2 centuries, the Egyptian society was divided into different groups depending on what nationality they are and what religion they are. So according to nationality, the Egyptian society was divided into either Arabs, the one who came as Arabs into Egypt, and the Copts. So the 2 groups in Egypt for the first 2 centuries after the Islamic presence in Egypt, you're either an Arab or you are a Copt. And according to religion, there are 2 groups. You are either a Muslim or you are a Christian. So the Egyptian society then was divided in 2 categories. The first category is nationality, Arabs and Copts, and religion, which is Muslims and Christians. Now, the Egyptian society then, according to this, was divided mainly into three classes. Three classes. The first class are religion-wise Muslim, nationality Arabs, so they're Muslim Arabs. Second class is the Muslim Copts or Muslim Egyptians. They were called Muslim Copts because the word Copt means Egyptian. And the third group is Christian Copts. And this lasted for about 2 centuries. After that, gradually, the first two groups, the Muslim Arabs and the Muslim Copts, came into one group because the Copts who became Muslims adopted the Arabic language, so they speak Arabic too. So both of them are one group called Muslims. The Christians who stayed Christians and they tried to retain their Coptic language, they were called Copts. Although Copts is not a religion, it's a nationality, but they chose this word, or that's what it retained there. So the two groups in Egypt after that became Muslims and Copts. Muslims that included Muslim Arabs and Muslim Copts initially, but they both are Muslims now, and the Christians of Egypt became known as Copts, which means Egyptian.